Hey guys, it's Chetan from Chet Venture Coffee, and in this episode we're going to explore how to improve our travel coffee game. So the big idea is to be able to make a filter coffee, a delicious black paper filter coffee, wherever we go in the world. I find that this is the hardest coffee to find. You can always find an espresso. Okay, the quality, I'm not sure. So maybe in the future we can discover espressos. But you can always find an espresso. You can always add sugar and milk and make it into something pleasant. But a nice, delicious, aromatic filter coffee, I find is incredibly hard to get. Especially when you're on the road, especially when you're away from maybe a big town with a nice cafe. So that's what we're doing here. The big idea is, how do you make a really delicious cup of filter coffee, anywhere we go. I think that's a good place to start. Okay, so the way I see it is that for traveling with coffee, we need a few coffee essentials. We need, of course, the coffee itself, and for this trip, just because we just recently set it all up and it's very exciting, I have Chet Venture Coffee. I thought I'd make the most out of it. So we have a nice box of this stuff. 2 is something to grind the coffee with. So here's the Comandante. That comes with its own complications for travel that we'll definitely get into later. Then we need something to make the coffee with, and I couldn't think of anything better than an Aeropress to travel with, at least initially. So we're going to start with this bad boy. I just figured that it's a pretty robust tube, pretty simple, easy to clean, so it's going to be quite like travel friendly, and it does definitely make amazing coffee. And you need something to put the coffee into, so we have our portable mug, which there you go, made by Who Knew. So I had all this stuff ready, packed, and then we were at the airport in Bogota, boarding our plane, and I realized that I'd forgotten the most important thing in coffee. The most important ingredient, is 98%. All of this just helps me 2% or less. The other 98% I've completely forgotten about, and I have no clue how to fix it. The story goes like this. We were at the airport and I figured that I don't have anything to carry hot water with. Hot water. Probably the most essential ingredient to make nice coffee is hot water. Now, yes, there's cold brews, but that's only one piece of the coffee spectrum. If I want to travel with coffee, we definitely need hot water. So a coffee thermos, a coffee flask, something to contain coffee into was on my mind all the way from Bogota in the mountains through to Santa Marta on the Caribbean coast. That's all I could think of. Not the sea, not anything else, not the sunshine. Just how do I get hot water and how do I contain it? And the second we came out the airport, I asked the taxi driver, hey, is there a place we can buy like a coffee thermos? And he was super cool. He said yes, and we drove for a long time. I thought there would definitely be no way that we can buy a coffee thermos 40 minutes from town, but then we did it. We ran around a crazy shopping mall, asking questions, where's the coffee thermos, and then eventually picked up one. I think it's a bit unusual, to be honest, in a climate this hot. It's like the jungle behind, that somebody's desperate for a hot coffee thermos. In any case, we came back to the car, and I came back to my senses, and I realized what was really happening. We were driving through the most spectacular, dry, arid landscape of hills, and right in front of us, you could see where the jungle started. So it was an incredible journey in the end, coming out at our hotel in this tropical, humid, jungle-y place, having literally just come from in the car, half an hour away, this landscape of the most incredible dry cactus-filled hills. And so, yeah, So here it is, our thermos of dreams. But now I'm confounded with two new problems. One is that I have 2 cups. And I get the feeling that this one, being part of the thermos, is much more convenient. So I'm afraid that this cup might just have to sleep for the rest of the trip. And the second problem is I still don't have hot water. So the way that I see it now is that we have 2 options. One is settling for cold brew, which could be kind of interesting. At the end of the day, I think traveling in this climate, you might want to make a cold brew, and I've got an interesting idea of how a Aeropress can be used for this. Maybe the idea is out there already, but I feel like I've just thought of it. So that should be interesting tomorrow, perhaps on the beach. The second thing though is still this. I want a hot coffee when I wake up in the morning. I want those aromas. I want that sweetness. I just. How do we do this? Hey guys, welcome to day 2. Last night we made a cold brew with this flask of dreams and realized that we needed a funnel in order to get the coffee into the small opening at the top of this flask. So we chopped up a plastic bottle to get this thing, and it works really well. It's just the top of a plastic bottle. And then we realized that we needed a spoon. Hello birds. Then we realized that we needed a spoon in order to get the coffee from the catch into this thing. So now we have a spoon. Essential coffee travel item that we just didn't have. But one big problem still remains is that we have no scale, and so I have no idea what's really going on in this brew. But from the taste test today, we're going to be able to figure out like how to change the ratios using the Aeropress, because I think you're going to be able to get a clarity by using the Aeropress that will just make the cold brew so much more delicious. It's one of my gripes with cold brew is that it's a bit cloudy, and so this should really make things cool. But the big idea for today is to walk to the beach through the jungle and try and make a cold brew there. Starting our journey here into the jungle at Parque Tayrona, which I believe is also called Teku in the local Arhuaco language. At least I believe that's how you pronounce the name of the tribe here. And oh god, muddy. Yeah, so we've got a cold brew in the bag. We've got the Aeropress. I figured you can get the filters inside the top of the Aeropress. I'll show you later. And I have a really interesting idea to make it super a coastal beverage when we get to the beach. But for now, it's 2 hours walking. Okay, so taking the first few steps into the jungle, which is always a magical experience. It's like entering another world inside our world. We've made it to the sea, which is pretty spectacular. So jungle to the sea, and that's really cool. So this is not the beach, it's still another, I think, hour and a half to the beach that we need to get to. So I think we're going to climb again through the jungle, up in altitude and then back down towards the sea a couple more times. Pretty spectacular. It really is that spectacular because up here I found a big cactus. And everything you just saw, that cactus and the other cactus is right by this incredible view. That's the Caribbean in this part of Colombia. It's completely mind-bendingly beautiful. We seem to have entered a completely new forest here. It's much lower trees. You have these trees with these kinds of leaves, these kinds of round leathery leaves, and all the trees are super hard and spiky. So it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing over here. So he was explaining to us that it will take maybe about a year for one of those coconut trees to get tall and producing these kinds of coconuts, which is pretty quick. Look, check it out. So I just told you about the dry forest, and then we were in a coconut plantation, and now we're surrounded by these enormous trees on the coast. The diversity is just insane. Look, I'll show you some more crazy trees. Look at it. Amazing. And I think in about 1 minute we'll be back into like that mangrovey, dry, hard, thorny forest. It's really spectacular. How cool is this? It's like a plantation of those like giant leafy things. So these rocks would have been bare, completely bare, like down here, right? These rocks would have been completely bare, but in the little cracks, the leaves of the trees have fallen, and inside those you have all these plants growing, and so that's going to be a nice succession. Just check out where we're going next, up this hill. Whilst I shoot this video, and behind me hopefully you can see the amazing scene. Okay, so all of that was to figure out if right now we can have a great travel coffee. Should be cold, should be delicious, and I've got one special touch which I hope will complete it all. I also figured that in the Aeropress you can store the papers here, and what we're going to do. So I've heard that in Colombia they just got my eye on the crocodiles. I've heard that in Colombia they're not averse to putting a little bit of salt in their coffee, and in India it's the same. It takes away some of the bitterness, any harsh aspects. So this has been brewing for a long time now. It might not be cold, it might be a little harsh, and so let's give it a go. I also watched a James Hoffman video, which I'll link down below as well, about the same thing. So as always with the Aeropress double filter. Now let's run down to the beach. So that's our Aeropress filters rinsed in seawater. So they're rinsed and hopefully got enough salt in there. Let's try and sort this out. Okay, so we have our cup. We don't have crocodiles just yet. We got our funnel that we need just to make sure we don't spill everything anyway. Smells nice. It smells raspberry, fruity, but I'm not sure if it's still cold. Okay, so the really cool thing is that it's decanted. So all the grounds are at the bottom. Everything else is at the top. But it didn't smell very cold. If cold has a smell. Here's to a really nice, fresh, clean Aeropress, hopefully with no crocodiles. Still cool. It's still cool. And it's really tasty. Can I taste the salt? Not really, but maybe. Mostly I taste a really refreshing, really sweet, nice Aeropress out here on the beach, having walked about 3 hours through a jungle, which is pretty cool. So I thought I'd shoot this way instead, because just in case there's a croc back there, and explain a little bit more of the taste of this coffee, which is actually a hint of salinity is coming through. I wonder if that's rounding out all the raspberry taste, all the caramel tastes that are coming from this coffee. It's really, really nice. It's really, really nice. People think I'm a little insane on the beach with this setup, but that's us. It's a really delicious coffee, and I could make another one, which is the best part, and I think I might make another one. One thing I can certainly say about Aeropress in cold brew is that every time I get a better result. I get a cleaner, someone was just shouting, I was just looking out at the crocodiles just in case. I get a cleaner, much brighter cold brew. Hey guys, welcome to day 3. And so what did we learn yesterday from the long journey to the beach with an Aeropress, paper filters, and a flask? We certainly discovered that an off-the-shelf thermos is good enough to keep coffee cool and tasty all the way through like basically I think something like 5 hours through the heat, tropical heat. We discovered also that an Aeropress, I would bring it again. It's pretty tasty, being able to filter through paper. But there are 3 other little aspects that kind of bothered me a little bit. One was the blowing around of the paper filters. definitely need to sort that out for beach use. Certainly the size and the weight of the thermos, but also, speaking of weight, something to do with the mass of coffee. I had no idea how much we really used. All I can tell is that the end result, though it was delicious, didn't feel like it extracted enough. Like, that amount of coffee for that amount of water should be way more intense. I'm wondering if the shape of the thermos, the way that it's long and thin, meant that the whole thing didn't infuse really too well. But it decanted pretty well, so I was impressed by that. So we've got to play with sizes. Also the salt thing. I'm curious, did the addition of that tiny little bit of sea salt in the paper filters make a whole lot of difference or not? So there's a few more experiments in that direction, but overall I would say it's a successful kind of first investigation, get the first few big ideas down about how to travel better with an Aeropress. But I still feel like this wouldn't be complete without a little bit of a go at a hot coffee. So we're now back with the thermos, off to the river down there somewhere. Hey guys, so we made it out to the river of stones, Rio Piedras, and we finally have our chance to make a hot Aeropress. Not sure exactly why you'd want to do it in this heat, other than for a beautiful coffee in probably the most beautiful location I've ever made a coffee. I would say so. So again, the blowing around is a problem, and I've probably chosen the worst rock to do this on because you can't even see the rock, so that's how steep it is. But it's a test of the travel compatibility of this little contraption. So let's just try doing stuff. So the first thing that's coming to me, it's not worth doing the little steps in a complicated place like this, like the filtering the coffee. The second thing is the inverted method seems a lot safer. And to grab the spoon, and then let's do a pour. We're gonna have to pour it in the side over here. No. Need to find a better place. Okay, there's a little nook over here. Oh, I see fish. The little fish in the pool over there. No timer, but a lot of natural beauty. Got the Sierra Nevada jungle and this wonderful river with fish in it too. It's probably a better angle even to start with. We'll still take some acrobatics. Additional note is that the Aeropress is a really cool way to store the coffee grounds afterwards. It's so convenient because it's its own container, completely sealed, and it's really dry as well, so it won't even leak all over your bag because you've pressed all the liquid out. So I think this is a really cool travel device for that reason too. Second note is that the need for a scale is real. This is way too intense. This is way too harsh. Or I just need to become better at eyeing coffee.